everybody. What's going on, man? Welcome to today's edition of SWAC Talk. This is the show we cover the SWAC inside and out. Of course, I'm your tour guide around the SWAC. See what's coming at you. And as you can see, man, I'm back from vacation, but mentally I am still not here right. I recorded half of this episode before I realized I did not hit record. So I got to come back and do this all over again. So, man, I'd like to thank y'all for tuning in and chopping it up with me. Hit those socials, man. Facebook is SWAC Talk, Instagram, SWAC Talk, Twitter, SWAC Talk 76. Like the video. Make sure you subscribe. If you haven't done so already, we are over 800. And we're continuing to march to 900. So make sure you hit that subscription button. If you have subscribed, man, thank you very much. Let somebody else know to subscribe, man. Let them know what's going on with us, man. Let them know how we do. We got some more episodes of our Chopping It Up series gonna be coming at you in the near future. Got Swag Smoke live on Thursdays. Make sure you check that out. 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern. Check that out. And we're gonna talk a lot of basketball, football in the upcoming days. We're gonna drop a couple of football videos here and there. So you know we got a lot, but we want to cover SWAC basketball today. Look at Saturday's action and then look at Monday's games. So let's get to it, man. Let's not waste no more time. So starting off with the game that took place on Saturday, really interesting really interesting day of games. First off, Pine Bluff beat Florida A&M by a score of 71-68. Nice victory there for the Golden Lions. Bethune-Cookman beats Valley 70-55. Alcorn beats Texas Southern 76-67 in overtime. So nice competitive games there. Southern beat Grambling by a score of 59-49, and that was our featured game of the day. Southern basically was able to outscore Grambling in every quarter except for the third, where they were outscored by 1, and ultimately they won by 10. So they led by 11. At most points, they led 33-26 at the half, and they were able to withstand Grambling in the fourth quarter and win by 10. Kobe Maples led Grambling with 15 points. She was 4 of 10 from the field, 3 of 6 from 3, 4 of 4 from the line. She also had 3 rebounds and 3 assists on the night and 1 steal. Amanda Blake had a double-double, 10 points, 10 rebounds. She also had 2 steals and 4 blocks. She was 5 of 11 from the field. She did not attempt a 3 free throw. Also, the third leading scorer was Felicia Allen, who was 8 points and 4 rebounds, 3 of 8 from the field, 0 for 1 from 3 and 2 or 3 from the free throw line. Leah Morrow had 7 rebounds also to help pace the Lady Tigers. They had 30 rebounds on the night. They had 8 assists, committed 20 turnovers, had 5 blocks and 6 steals. They would shoot 34% from the field on the night, 35% from 3, and 69% from the line. Southern was led by Amani McWayne with 16 points and 6 rebounds. She also had 1 steal on the night. She was 6 of 9 from the field, 3 of 4 from 3, and 1 of 3 from the line. And she was the only double-digit scorer for Southern on the night. Tynesha Metcalf had 9 points as the second leading scorer. She had also had 1 steal and 3 assists. She was 3 of 5 from the field and 3 of 4 from the line, 0 for 1 from 3. Taylor Williams chipped in 8 points for Southern. Genovia Johnson and Chloe Fleming each had 5 rebounds as well for Southern on the night. Southern would have 35 rebounds, 18 fouls on the night, 8 assists, 13 turnovers, 3 blocks, and 10 steals. They shot 40% from the field, 33% from 3, and 52% from the line. Again, Southern's free throw shooting has not been good this season. Their shooting from the field has been hit or miss, but their free throw percentage has been relatively low in a lot of games. And, you know, they've been able to withstand that and win games. But eventually that's going to catch up with you. And, you know, you definitely want to be able to make your free throws. They were able to withstand the need to have that happen in this game because they ultimately won by double digits. So that's something that Southern definitely would need to work on in the future, the very, very near future. Jackson State got upset by Prairie View, snapping their long winning streak. I believe it was 35 games. Again, this is not the end of the world. I mean, obviously, at some point, streaks are made to be broken. So, you don't really, you don't really sweat it too much. Prairie View played a tremendous game, man. They really had a great fourth quarter. They outscored Jackson State 28-18 in the fourth quarter to win this game by 4. If you're Jackson State, you just pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and get ready for Monday's game, and then you just continue yourself on to the tournament. You don't let this one build into two, or lose one here, win one, lose one. You just continue to do what you normally do, and you'll be fine. This was one of those games where, excuse me, where that's an out of character fourth quarter for them. Especially playing with the lead, they typically are able to do their damage and get out in front of teams and hold them off if they need to. But Gerard Covington led the team with 22 points. She was 6 of 10 from the field, 3 of 4 from the three-point line, 7 of 7 from the free throw line. She had 3 rebounds on the night and 1 steal. She ultimately ended up fouling out in this game. 13 points for Telon Bowler. She was 3 of 8 from the field, 1 of 2 from the three-point line, 6 of 7 from the free throw line. She had 4 rebounds. Angel Jackson had 9 rebounds to lead Jackson State. One thing that stands out to me is if you look at Deja Woodard, she had 6 points on the night, and Liz Martino, who is one of their top scorers, she finished the night with 4 points. So 2 of your top players, did not score much. You did have some foul trouble. You had 1 person foul out. You had 2 people with 3 fouls on the night and 1 with 4. So, on the road, that can catch up with you. Ultimately, Jackson State finished with 32 rebounds, which is not a huge number for them. They've had 21 fouls, 8 assists, 27 turnovers. If there's anything that stands out to me the most in this game is those 27 turnovers. That's very uncharacteristic of Jackson State. Credit to Prairie View for forcing a lot of those turnovers. Prairie View gets the utmost credit for winning this game. You can say, Jackson State did this wrong or they did that wrong, but Prairie View won this game. When you beat a team like this, you beat them. I don't care if they put the ball in your basket. If you did the things you need to do, then you beat this team, and Prairie View won this game. One block for Jackson State. That's uncharacteristic of this team. And they had 7 steals on the night. They shot 46% from the field, 18 of 39. They shot 36% from 3, 4 of 11, and they shot 25% from 75% from the free throw line, 25 of 33. Looking at the percentages in the fourth quarter, they didn't shoot bad in that quarter. They shot 45% from the field. They shot 33% from 3. You probably would have liked to have a couple more of those shots knocked down in crucial situations. And they were 7 of 8 from the free throw line. So they did not shoot bad. And they finished with 24 points in the paint. They just were unable to close this game out. Diana Rosenthal, Niam Thornton, and Michaela Hutchinson each finished with 12 points for the Lady Panthers. Rosenthal also had 5 rebounds. She finished with 4 fouls, so she had some foul trouble. Kennedy Paul also had 4 fouls for Prairie View. Geraldine Smith had 4 fouls. Kennedy Hurd had 4 fouls. So this was a very foul-played game. Nobody could really, the refs were very whistle-happy in this game. Desiree Lewis led Prairie View with 6 rebounds on the night, and they finished with 31 rebounds. They had 26 fouls, 13 assists, 11 turnovers, 1 block, and 14 steals. So they forced a lot of those Jackson State mistakes, and they were able to capitalize, finishing with 17 points off of those turnovers. So, that was pretty good. They held their own in the paint. They had 18 points in the paint to Jackson State's 24. They got 24 points off their bench. Jackson State got 33. So they did pretty much everything that they normally do, but Prairie View was able to have a really good fourth quarter, and that's the difference in this game. They shot 34% from the field. They shot 53% in the fourth quarter. They shot 33% from 3. They shot 60% from 3 in the fourth quarter. They shot 66% from the line, and in the fourth quarter they shot 68%. They shot 16 free throws in the fourth quarter alone. So when you look at trips to the line, that can definitely be one of those things that kind of stands out to you in a game like this, because possessions are key to make a break. You don't want to send a team to the line too much in a quarter, especially when you're trying to withstand a run. But that will happen. Prairie View was able to, like I said, really up their shooting in every quarter, because they shot pretty poorly in the first half. 23% from the field in the first half, in first quarter, 40% in the second quarter, 27% in the third quarter. So they really started to go lights out in the fourth quarter. They shot 50% from three in the second quarter. They did not make a three in the first quarter, and they shot 30% from three in the third quarter. So again, the numbers went up, and they were able to pick up a very crucial victory for them. And ultimately, they created a huge log jam in the women's standings. Prairie View is 4-1. Southern is 4-1. Prairie View beat Southern already, so right now they hold a head-to-head tiebreaker in that tie. So they're 4-1 in first place. Southern is right behind them at 4-1. Jackson State is 3-1. Alabama State is 3-1. Alabama A&M is 3-1. Bethune-Cookman is 3-1. Grambling is 3-2. Pine Bluff 2-3. Alcorn 1-3. Texas Southern 1-4. Florida A&M 0-4. Valley is 0-5. So the bottom is pretty much cemented. It's going to be tough to get into that top 8 because everybody's sitting at one loss right now. Now, obviously, as the season goes on, these kind of things are going to figure themselves out. But that's that it's a log jam right now. In the next couple of weeks, you'll start to see this herd start to thin out. Matter of fact, one of the games on Monday is between 2 3-1 teams. So that's a game that's gonna be tough. Like I said, we look at the schedule for Monday. Pine Bluff hosts Bethune. Pine Bluff is at Bethune-Cookman. That's a crucial game. That's gonna probably help thin out the herd a little bit. That's a 5:30 tip-off. In Daytona, Jackson State is at Texas Southern, so they're gonna try to get back on track in Houston. Valley is at Florida A&M. That's a 5:30 tip-off. And Alcorn is at Prairie View. That's a 4:30 tip-off. So Prairie View wants to continue to build on that big win. They need to come out and win this game. You don't want to win a big game like that and turn around and drop a game the very next day. So that leads us to our game of our feature game of the day, and that's Alabama A&M versus Alabama State. This game is in Mobile at the Bridge Builder Classic. It's a 1:00 tip-off. This is a nice little setup if you're in the area, man. There's 4 games on the day. There's 2 high school games in the morning, and then Alabama State and Alabama and women's team play at 1. They have some different entertainment things in between, and then following that, the men play probably around 3:30, 4 o'clock. They'll play Alabama A&M and Alabama State will play in Mobile. So that's a nice little thing if you want to get out there on your day off or on your spare time on Monday in Mobile. If you're in the area or you're close enough to get out there, I want y'all go check out the Bridge Builder Classic in Mobile. So let's talk about this matchup between the Alabama A&M Bulldogs and the Alabama State Hornets. Both of these teams, this is a very crucial game. It's so early in the schedule. I don't like to categorize games in the first 3 or 4 weeks of the season as must-wins, but obviously this is a rivalry. Both teams are 3-1, so this is a very important game. With first place being a huge log jam, at least first or second place, however you want to put it, is a lot of teams with 1 loss, so you want to keep yourself in the mix. And when you play a team who's also right there with you, being able to get a game ahead of them, it definitely helps a lot. So both of these teams, they need this win because you don't want to, fall out of that log jam. You want to keep yourself as close to it as possible. So big game here. The Bulldogs average 53 points per game. They give up 65. That's a margin of minus 11.7. They shoot 33% from the field, shooting 18.4 field goals per game. The opponents shoot 40% from the field, average of 23.5 field goals per game. They shoot 27% from three, 4.6 threes per game. The opponents 29% from three, 5.3 threes per game. They shoot 67% from the line. They average 11.9 free throws per game, so basically 12 free throws a game. The opponents 68%, 12.8 free throws per game. They average 35.1 rebounds on the season per game. The opponent's 38.3 has a margin of minus 2.2. So they're being out rebounded by at least 2 rebounds every game. Assists, they average 9.2 assists per game. The opponent's 13.5. They average 18.6 turnovers per game. They force 15.1. So that's a negative margin right there, negative 3.5. They do turn the ball over a little bit too much. That's something you want to kind of clean up as the season goes on. They average 12.6 points of opponents' turnovers. So they don't really they don't really score that much off of those turnovers. They actually score less than the number of turnovers that they force. So they don't really score too much in transition. The opponents do score 18.1 points per game off of turnovers. So they give up. When they turn the ball over, the odds of you scoring are pretty great. And if you're Alabama State, that's something that you probably really are really looking to take advantage of. They average 5.8 steals per game and 8.9 for the opponents. They average 2.7 blocks per game. The opponents average 4.1 blocks per game. Now, one number, and I'm going to get there in a second, but that block number is that Alabama A&M block number is propped up by one player, and I'm going to go ahead and just throw that out there. Jayla Cody has 22 blocks on the season. The next player has 3, so she is their rim protector, and it's going to be up to her to keep Alabama State from getting in there and scoring any easy buckets. When you got a person that blocks almost 20 more blocks than the next person on the team, you definitely want to make her be a factor on your defense. So keep an eye out on her for blocking shots in this game. This is a team that goes about 7 or 8 deep. Monty Free leads the team with 28.9 minutes per game. Jayla Cody averages 28.6, 25.1 for Taylor Smith. Tony Grace averages 22.7, Amaya Simmons 22.1, and Darian Bergen averages 21.3. So they, those are the main players. McCollum, she averages 14.6 minutes per game. And the only other person that's played all 14 of the games is Jalen Murray, and she averages 8.5 minutes per game. So they have a couple other people who play some minutes, but they haven't logged a lot of games. So their top 6 or 7 people are the ones who are gonna be counted on in this game. It's vital that they don't get in foul trouble. They're not that deep. So you don't want to put yourself in an issue where you have to go deeper into your bench than you already are lacking. So looking at their field goal shooting, Tony Grace leads the team shooting 44%. McCollum shoots 43%. Cody 37%. Frazier 36%. 3-point shooting. Simmons shoots 44%, 11 of 25. Smith 19 of 60 for 31%. Free shoots 29%, 20 of 67. Both of those numbers lead the team. 20 threes leads the game. 67 attempted leads the game. Free throw shooting, Taylor Smith is 14 of 14 on the season. Free is 21 of 25 for 84%. Bergen 12 of 15 for 80%. Grace 40 of 51 for 78%. So they do have some people who can definitely capitalize at the line. If you in a tight game, that's definitely a good factor to have. Grace averages 10.6 points per game. Free averages 10.1. So they have basically a two-headed monster in terms of who basically is the person that does the bulk of the scoring. But Simmons chips in 8.3 and Smith at 7.6, Cody at 5.4. So they're basically, their starters make up the bulk of their points. Rebounds, Cody leads the team with 5.8 rebounds per game, Free 4.9, Simmons 4.2. Bergen has 22 assists. Cody has 20, so she does a good job of helping distribute the ball, kicking the ball out to shooters. So, she's definitely somebody that can pass out a double team. So that's definitely a good thing to see from your big person inside. Turnovers, Smith has 39 to lead the team. Simmons 34. Steals, 14 for Smith. Free has 13. 10 steals for McCullough, 10 for Bergen, and 10 for Cody. So she's a pretty versatile defender on this team. So she is going to be counted on to help slow this Alabama State team down. Their offense is capable of putting up points. They have some scorers that can definitely cause problems for you. They average 60.9 points per game. They give up 77.7. That's an average of minus 16.8. Again, these numbers are basically skewed from these non-conference games. But, that's pretty much the whole story of a team. They shoot 39% from the field, average 22.3 field goals per game. The opponents shoot 46% from the field. They average 29.3 field goals per game. They shoot 28% from the three-point line, average 4.5 threes per game. So neither team really makes a lot of threes. They both average about 4 threes per game. The opponents shoot 33%, and they average 6.8 threes per game. 11.8 free throws per game for the Hornets, and they shoot 67%. The opponents 12.3 free throws per game, and they shoot 63%. Both teams close to 12 free throws a game. The opponents are both at about 12 free throws a game. So they're similar in those aspects. Shooting-wise, these two teams are pretty similar. The numbers aren't that different. Alabama State is a little bit weaker on the boards. They average 31.8 rebounds per game. The opponents 39.7. They get out rebounded by average of 7.9. That's their margin, minus 7.9. They average 11.8 assists per game. They give up 15.1. They turn the ball over 18.9 times per game. Both teams turn the ball over a lot, and they both force about 15 turnovers. So neither team is that great taking care of the ball. And so this is going to be interesting. Two teams that turn the ball over a lot. Who is going to turn it over the least? Neither team really scores a lot off of turnovers. Alabama State's at 11.3. I think Alabama A&M was like at 12. Alabama State gives up 19.5 points per game on turnovers after turnovers. So if you force a turnover, you're probably going to score. So that's interesting because both teams give up a high number of points off of turnovers. So I think turnovers are going to be the issue in this game, and Alabama State being able to have some success rebounding and making sure that they keep Cody from blocking a lot of their shots. They average 6.5 steals per game. The opponents 9.3. They average 3 blocks per game. So they do a pretty good job of blocking shots, but they give up 4.8 blocks per game. So they're susceptible to strong inside game. So that's going to be, something that Alabama A&M maybe can take advantage of. Their top 2 players are Ayanna Emanuel and Jayla Crawford. They both average over 30 minutes. Emanuel at 32.6, Crawford at 31.4. Steele is at 29.3, Ward 25.7, Harris 24.7, Sanders 23.5, Tillis 20.1. So that's basically how deep they go. Ashley Gray does get about 11.8 minutes per game. Other than that, I would say if you look at anybody else who plays any significant minutes, Bolton plays 10.5. So they don't, they have a pretty solid rotation on the season. So Ward has missed a lot of time. So her numbers, I'm not going to really take too much into account at this point. Field goal percentage, Harris shoots 52%, Bolton 46%, Crawford 41%, Emanuel 37%. 3-point shooting, Crawford shoots 35% from 3, so she's definitely a weapon from outside. She's 24-68. Steele is 14 of 44 for 31%. Emanuel is 17 of 72, so she's not afraid to shoot that ball. She's not making a lot of threes this year, but she's shooting at a high. She's shooting a high number of threes. 72 is quite a bit at this point, and she's shooting 23%. So that's something that can definitely be improved on. But she's a player that can explode for points. She scored 41 last year, so she's definitely capable of putting up those points. She shoots 70. Emmanuel shoots 78% from the free throw line. Crawford 76, Jackson 72, 69 for Harris, Steele at 66. Ward at let's see. Crawford averages 15.7 points per game. Shemaya Ward missed a lot of time early in the season, but she's been back since SWAC play started. So she is averaging right now 18 points per game. She's only played in 5 games, but she is a factor in this offense. So that's definitely another scoring weapon that you can have. You definitely want to take advantage of a player like that. She scored 27 against Alcorn last week. So she, her 4 games back, she had 18 against Valley, 23 against Pine Bluff, 7 against Jackson, and 27 against Alcorn. So she definitely can put the ball in the basket. And that's a key factor for Alabama State. That's another scorer that they have. They have 4 people scoring in double figures. She's at 18, Crawford's at 15.7, Emmanuel at 14.9, Harris at 10.7. And after that, they don't really have a lot of people score. So those top 4 players are going to be the ones that get the bulk of the points for Alabama State. When it comes to rebounding, Harris leads the team at 5.7 boards per game, Ward 5.2, Emmanuel 3.5, Crawford 3. Assists, Sanders at 41, Steele at 33, Crawford 31, 30 for Emmanuel. Turnovers, Emmanuel with 52. Steals, Emmanuel at 21, Harris at 19, Crawford 15, 13 for Steele, Sanders 11. 12 blocks for Bolton, 10 for Harris on the season. Ward already has 7 blocks in 5 games. So, again, she's a presence that this team can use. She had 3 blocks against Alcorn, 2 against Pine Bluff. So she made her presence felt so far in her brief stint back. So definitely going to be a nice battle with her and Cody. But I still like Alabama State because I think they have the better scoring units. They have a bunch of players that can explode at any time. Basically, Crawford and Emmanuel can explode at any time. And then you add Ward, who's come back and scoring 18 points a game in the 4 games that she's been back. That's a key factor for this team, and that's why I think Alabama State is going to win this game. I think they're not both. Neither team is that deep, but I think Alabama State takes advantage of the top players are more capable of scoring the points, and like I said, they average about 7 points per game more than Alabama A&M. So if it becomes a game that's kind of up and down in tempo, I think they can win this game. Alabama A&M needs a slower game, but I think Alabama State will be the one to win this game because I think they just are a little bit more explosive. So moving on to our men's recaps, starting with the Saturday games. Another interesting Saturday, man. Alcorn and Texas Southern played an overtime game. Nice victory for Alcorn in that one, 79-74. Prairie View beat Jackson State 59-50. Bethune-Cookman beat Valley 77-71. Pine Bluff beat FAMU 67-54. And our feature game of the day was Southern and Grambling. Southern beat Grambling by a score of 81-73. This was a game of runs, man. Southern, it was neck and neck in the first quarter. In the first half. Southern went on a run toward the end of the first half, and ultimately led by 7 at the half. Grambling came out of halftime and went on a run and erased that 7-point lead. Both teams kind of went back and forth. I think Grambling led by as many as 4. in that stretch toward the mid portion of the second half. Southern was able to build a lead late, and ultimately through free throws, win this game by 8. So this was a very competitive game, pretty chippy. Gremlins won 5 straight before they lost this game to Southern, including 3 in a row last year. So this was a game that a lot of both teams really laid it all out on the line. You could feel the emotion, you could feel the rivalry. Like I said, in my women's section, I don't like to call games this early in the season, must wins, but this was a game that Southern definitely needed to win. Not just because they were undefeated, but because they needed to beat Grambling. They needed to see that they could beat Grambling because Grambling beat them 3 times, and in all 3 matchups, Southern had a lead at some point in the second half, and Grambling was able to erase that lead. It looked like this was going to be the same thing, but they were able to withstand it and finish this game pretty strong. Cameron Christian led Grambling with 25 points. He was 11 of 20 from the field, 2 of 9 from 3, and 1 of 2 from the line. He had 4 rebounds. Excuse me. Shandarius Coward had 12 points. He was 4 of 8. He did most of his work in the second half. He did not score in the first half. He was able to finish with 14 rebounds as a guard. Man, he really worked the boards in that game. He played 39 of the 40 minutes, so he did a lot of work for Grambling. He had 10 assists, so he finished with a triple-double, 12, 14, and 10. Nice game for him. He did finish with 2 steals as well, so very, very solid game for him. That should not get lost in the shuffle that he finished with a triple-double on the night. They also got 11 points from Quentin Merrill and 10 points from Malik Lehman. So pretty solid night for Grambling. They finished the night with 38 rebounds. They had 25 fouls on the night, 13 assists, 17 turnovers. They had 1 block and 5 steals. They ultimately shot 40% from the field. 3-point shooting was just not there in the game. They were 4 of 22. They shot 18% from 3. And in a game that's basically an 8-point game, that was a 3-4 point game in the second half, late minutes of the second half. Being able to knock down some of those threes definitely would have helped you. Even if you could have made 2 or 3 of those, that would have probably given you the win because whenever the game would be a 1-point game or a 2-point game, Southern was able to knock down a crucial 3 to either expand their lead or keep themselves in the game. So that poor shooting from 3 is probably what did Grambling in this game. They shot 75% from the free throw line, 21 of 28. Breon Whitley led Southern with 32 points. Big game for him. He had 11 of 21 from the field. He shot 5 of 11 from 3 and 5 of 5 from the line. He also finished with 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 block, and 1 steal. PJ Bird had 18 points as the next leading scorer and the only other player for Southern in double digits. He had 18 points, 8 assists for him on the night. He leads the league in assists, and I think he's top 6 in the country in assists. So he's definitely a guy that's doing a great job of distributing the basketball, and that helps Southern run their offense. And they have a floor general that can take care of business in that aspect. He was 5 of 6 from the field, 3 of 3 from the 3-point line, and 5 of 6 from the free throw line. Southern didn't really get a huge game from Etienne or Lyons. They both had 10. They had 5 points apiece. So they really, were able to do this without 2 of their top guys being able to score. Lyons was 1 for 10 from the field. Etienne missed all his shots from the field. He was 5 of 6 from the free throw line. So he was able to score there. But when you have your top guys don't really score like that, and you're able to still put up a lot of points on one of the best defenses in the league, that helps you a lot to have guys that, have a bench that can chip in points here and now. Lions led the team with 9 rebounds, and Festus Ndemaya, he had 8 rebounds, including 4 or 5 key rebounds late in the second half. He also was 4 of 4 from the line in a crucial second half period. Southern finished with 36 rebounds. Not a bad night against a much bigger team. So They were really right in the rebounding margin. They had 19 fouls, 13 assists, 10 turnovers. Southern really took care of the ball in this game. They are prone to those really careless turnovers, but didn't commit a lot. And that's one of the things that would help Grambling make those comebacks last year. Southern would, start to not take care of the basketball, and Grambling, with their style of play, would be able to get a lead and basically hold Southern off the rest of the way. They had 7 blocks on the night. Again, a really good number against a team that, does have more size than them. And they had 8 steals on the night. Southern shot 38% from the field, 38% from 3, and 78% from the free throw line. So a pretty solid night in all aspects for Southern shooting. Grambling only allows like 38% shooting, so that's pretty much right in the average of what they give up. Looking at the standings for the men's side of things, Southern is 5-0. Alcorn is 3-1. Jackson State is 3-1. Jackson State beat Alcorn, so they have their tiebreaker right now. Grambling is 3-2. Pine Bluff is 3-2. Prairie View is 3-2. Alabama A&M is 2-2. Bethune-Cookman is 2-2. Alabama State is 2-2. Valley 1-4. And FAMU 0-4. And Texas Southern is 0-5. Now, if you watch me on this show, I constantly say you can't count out Texas Southern, but this team is like the walking wounded right now. And they are, they've lost some close games. They lost to Southern in overtime. They lost to Alcorn in overtime. I don't think they've been blown out in any of their losses. So they even missing guys, they are still in these games. So if they can get 1 or 2 of those guys back, that would help them. They're getting close to. You can pretty much eliminate them from the regular season championship. They would basically have to run the table and have everybody else lose at least 6 games to win the regular season, which is not impossible. I don't see them running the table, but when winning the SWAC with 5 losses is not a crazy thing. But if this team can get healthy by the end of the season, I would not want to play them as a low seed, man. If they come in as a 6, 7, 8 seed and they're healthy, I wouldn't want to play them at that point. But right now, they just have to find a way to survive. They need to get that first dub to kind of get the momentum going. The more they lose, the more ground they're going to give up, and you're going to find yourself not making a tournament. So it's important that they get guys back and start to right this ship, because right now things are not looking good. I don't want to write them off, but right now is not looking very good. Looking at the schedule for Monday's games, like I said, the Alabama A&M Alabama State game is in Mobile as part of the Bridge Builders Classic. Like I said, they have the women's game first, and then they have two high school games first, and then the women's game follows that. Then the men's game follows that. So I think that game is, I would say that game would probably tip off around 4 o'clock because if the women play at 1, so you pretty much figure a little bit after that. But they're saying 3:30, so 3:30, 4 o'clock around that time. Valley is at FAMU. There's also a 3:30 tip. Jackson State is at Texas Southern. Pine Bluff is at Bethune-Cookman. And Alcorn is at Prairie View. And that is our feature game of the day. This is a very big game. Both teams, like I said, they are right there in the thick of things. Alcorn, defending regular season champs from last season, went to the NIT. They are, right there in the mix at 3-1. Prairie View is sitting at 3-2. They have a victory over Grambling, and they beat Jackson State the other night. Their only losses were to Pine Bluff and Southern. So they haven't really played bad ball. I mean, they haven't played great ball, but they are right there in the mix. And this is a very, for this early season period, this is a very crucial game with Prairie View sitting there with 2 losses and Alcorn sitting there with 1. Alcorn was able to get a couple close victories over Prairie View last season, and then they had a close win over them in the tournament last year. So this is a matchup that can go either way. Alcorn's playing a lot better as the conference season goes on. They won 3 straight. They average 65.4 points per game. The opponent 74.5. They give up, that's a margin of minus 9.1. They shoot 38% from the field. They average 22.9 field goals per game. The opponents shoot 45% from the field, average of 25.1 field goals per game. They make 29% of their threes, shooting 5.2 threes per game. The opponents shoot 30% from the three-point line, 6.7 threes per game. Three-point shooting has not been that good right now. They're shooting 71% from the free throw line, average 14.5 free throws per game. The opponents shoot 66% from the line, and they average 17.6 free throws per game. They average 35.3 rebounds per game. Opponents 36, so that's a margin of minus 0.7. So they're barely getting out rebounded in their games. They've won the rebound battle a bit in conference play, and that evens out that margin. They average 9.3 assists per game. The opponents 14.9. They turn the ball over 13.6 times per game. The opponents 14.6. So they don't turn the ball over a whole lot, but they also don't force a lot of turnovers. On average, 13.7 points per game off of assists, or off of turnovers, excuse me. The opponents average 13.9, so pretty even there. They average 7.9 steals per game. The opponents 5.8. They average 2.4 blocks per game. The opponents 4.6. So they are susceptible to giving up some block shots inside, but they've been able to withstand that and take care of business. Byron Joshua leads the team with 30 minutes per game. Dominic Bruton at 27. Trevin Wade at 26. Dontre McCorder at 25. 24.5. Keandre Montgomery at 23. DeKeidron Thorne at 22.9. Jeremiah Kendall at 21.3. And then you have Otis Walker. He hasn't played in very many games, but he at one point he was averaging 19 minutes per game. Other than that, like I said, they don't have a lot of guys that they played, but that those top guys are all very capable. The leading shooter is Walker at 51%, McCorder 42.5%, Bruton 41, Kendall 40, Jordan 40, Thorne 39, Montgomery 36. 3-point shooting. Right now, Thorne is 22 of 61 for 36%. Montgomery 17 of 54 for 31%. Byron 15 of 18 for 31%. Bruton 11 of 39 for 28%. Free throw shooting. Montgomery shoots 89% from the line, 34 of 36. So if you put him at the line, he's almost automatic. Thorne is at 80%. Carter 80%, Bruton 75%, Joshua 75%, Jordan 75%. Scoring, Bruton leads the team with 13.7 points per game, Montgomery 11.5, Joshua 10.3, Kendall 8.6, Thorne 8.1, McCorder 6, Wade 5.8. So those are their top guys, and you see how they all contribute. Montgomery has been heating up as of late. He had a 24-point game against Alabama A&M. He had a 23-point game against Alabama State. He hit the game-winning shot against Texas Southern on Saturday. So he's a guy that's capable of scoring a lot of points. He has started to heat up as conference play went on, and that's definitely a dangerous thing for the opponents. Rebounding, they are led by Kendall with 6.5 rebounds per game, Bruton 4.5, Montgomery 4.4, McCorder 4.1. Assists, Joshua 44 to lead the team. Turnovers 39 by Joshua, 33 by Bruton, 24 for Kendall. Steals 20 for Joshua, 20 for Wade. The leading block man is Marshall with 12 blocks on the season. This is going to be a team that's going to be in the mix all year. I think that, the way Alcorn plays, they always are going to be in games. They don't play the flashiest style of basketball, but as you can see, they keep themselves around. And they have a lot of close games, but they have guys that are capable of capitalizing on those late moments and getting them the victories that they need. Prairie View comes in averaging 67.6 points per game. They give up 70.3. That's a margin of minus 2.7. They shoot 40% from the field, 24.5 field goals per game. The opponents, 44% from the field, 23.2 field goals per game. They shoot 27% from three. They average 5.3 threes per game. The opponents shoot 34%, 6.8 threes per game. They shoot 68% from the line. They average 13.3 free throws per game. The opponents shoot 72%, and they average 17 free throws per game. Prairie View averages 3.4 rebounds per game. 34.9 rebounds per game. The opponents, 32.7. So they out-rebound their opponents by 2 boards per game. The really solid rebounding team. Not huge numbers, but they definitely compete on the boards night in and night out. They average 10.8 assists per game. The opponents, 11.8. They turn the ball over 13.8 times per game. The opponents, 15.6. They average 15.7 points off a turnover. The opponent's 13.3. So turning the ball over 15 times, basically 16 times a game, and the opponents only scored 13 off of those. They do a pretty good job of getting back on defense and not allowing teams to get easy buckets. And that keeps them in games. And they're another team that plays a lot of close games. Most of their games have been very close this season. They average 8.1 steals per game. They allow 5.7. They average 3.2 blocks per game, and they give up 4.3. Looking at the guys that you can expect to see play a lot in this game, Gambrell averages 28.9 minutes per game. Douglas, 28.1. Yeshua Rosas, 26.3. Ruddy averages 24.9. Augustine, 18.8. Wesley, 18.5. You also got Smith at 18.5. Nelson at 15.5. Miles at 14.8. McKinley at 12.3. Neal at 10.9. Bell at 10.1. They play a lot of guys, man. Other than Wesley, who's played in 6 games, and he hasn't played since the early portion of the non-conference schedule. Everybody on this team, man, has played in almost every game they played. So they play a lot of guys, and they play everybody pretty much. Everybody that's played averages double-digit minutes. So they play a lot of guys. They're gonna throw bodies at you, and they're gonna try to capitalize on that. Their leading shooter is Ruddy. He shoots 63% from the field. Miles shoots 59. Brian Miles shoots 59. To be the second leading shooter from the field. 3-point shooting, Harding leads the team at 38%. Douglas at 31%, 12 of 38. Augustine is 16 of 54 for 29%. Gambrell has really struggled in his shooting this season. He was a guy who could get hot at almost any time during the season. Last season he was a guy who can really fill it up. You just never knew, when he was gonna blow up on you. But this season he hasn't shot the ball that well, and that definitely is one of those things that can hurt them. He's a guy who last season shot the ball fairly well. You really count on a guy like that. He shot a lot of threes. Trying to get my numbers here. He shot 35% from 3 last season, 32% the year before. His numbers are way down this season. He's shooting 26% from the 3-point line. He's like 33 of 124. He's taking a lot of threes, but he's not really making them. A guy like that, you figure at any moment he can get hot. So you don't really, if you're an opponent, you want to see him continue to jack those threes up and miss them. But a guy like that is capable of making 3 or 4 of them in a row and getting the team going. So you really need to be careful with him because he can get hot and make some key shots. He actually was he was 3 of 5 against Valley from 3. That's been his best game in conference play. He was 0 of 7 against Pine Bluff. He was 1 for 4 against Jackson State and 1 for 9 against Southern. So he hasn't really shot the ball well, like I said, but he's more than capable of making those shots if he gets hot. So if you're Alcorn, you do want him to shoot them, but if he starts to make them, you're gonna really want to extend your defense out on him. Free throw shooting, Miles at 89%, Douglas 81%, Rosas 75%, Gambrell 72%. Scoring, Douglas leads the team with 15.1 points per game. Gambrell 11.9, Rosas 10.1, Augustine 8.7, Smith 6.5. Rebounding, they're led by Rosas with 6.4, Augustine 4.9, Douglas 4.4, Ray 3.9. Douglas leads the team with 35 assists, Gambrell 35 as well. 46 turnovers for Douglas, 44 for Gambrell. 23 steals for Douglas, 16 for Rosas, 14 for Smith. Rosas leads the team with 13 blocks, 8 for Miles. This is an intriguing game, man. And like I said, I don't ever want to say a game comes down to one guy, but when you have a guy who is a shooter, but he's epically cold, you know one of these days he's gonna snap out of it. Is this the night that happens? It's Monday, the night that happens. Who can really say? I like Alcorn in this game because they have a winning mentality. They, by them, winning the regular season last year, they understand, what it takes to win, and they won at Prairie View last season. So they understand what it takes to win on the road. They won a tight game at Texas Southern. They lost a tight game against Jackson State, but they really understand what it takes to win. And they defended 3 well. Like I said, the opponents only shoot 30% from 3, and that's something that can definitely help them against a team like Prairie View that shoots a lot of threes. So I think Prairie View's going to keep this game close because I think both teams' styles are kind of similar. Neither one of them are really going to just go crazy on you scoring points. So it comes down to your key guys. And I like Bruton and Montgomery. Douglas and Gambrell and Rosas, if you want to throw him in as a third guy, I think, it all just depends on how Prairie View shoots this ball. But I'm going to go with Alcorn, man. I think Alcorn is going to be in this for the long run this season. So I think they'll win this game, but I think it's going to be another tight affair. That's going to do it for today's show, man. I'd like to thank y'all for tuning in and check me out as we continue our SWAC Talk journey, man. Like the video, hit that subscription button, man, if you haven't done so already. Make sure you subscribe if you have, and check us out on SWAC Smoke on Thursday, live 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern, and also got more videos coming this week, so I'll holler at y'all on the rebound. Peace.